He built the thing that made other men rich, then stood on the dock and watched it leave. You are that shipwright. It is Southampton, June 1416, and Henry V is building a war fleet. You have been taken on to build a Balinger, an oared fighting ship of about 120 tons. The master shipwright is a man called John Hoggakin. The man keeping the accounts is called William Soper. Remember that second name. The keel is a single timber 60, 8 feet long. Work begins on Thursday, the 18th of June. So what does building a king's warship actually pay? First, forget the carving. Nobody is paying you to decorate anything. You are a carpenter who has specialized in curves. You shape green oak with an axe and an adze, by eye, plank by plank, and you fasten the planks so they overlap clinker-built using iron nails hammered through and clinched over rows on the inside. That is not a detail. Over 2 tons of those nails went into this one ship. You work outdoors, in a dock cut into the shore. There is no roof. When it rains on the timber, it rains on you. And here is the fact that decides everything that follows. You are paid by the day, and the ship is not yours at any moment of the process. Not while it is a stack of oak, not while it is a hull, not when it floats. You are not building a ship. You are selling days, and the ship is what happens to be produced while you sell them. Now the number. Carpenters' wages are reasonably well documented. 3 pence a day in the late 13th century, 4 pence to 5 pence in the 14th, 5 pence or 6 pence in the 15th. A shipwright is a carpenter with a rarer skill, so put him at the top of that band 6 pence a day. I want to be clear that this is a placement inside a documented range, not a line lifted from the ship's own ledger. Now the build. 18th of June to the 22nd of October. Just under 18 weeks. Call it 100 working days once weather and holy days are taken out. 100 days at 6 pence is 600 pence, £2 10 shillings, for the entire ship. And the ship? The account survives, to the farthing. £179, 19 shillings, and a penny 3 farthings. Convert it, because pounds hide things. That is 43,190 pence. Your 600 is 1.5% of it. Turn it around and it lands harder. 43,000 pence at 6 pence a day is more than 7,000 shipwright days. At 240 working days in a year, this ship cost 30 years of one man's working life. You gave it 18 weeks. So where did the other 98% go? 2 places, and neither of them is you. The first is material. At its peak, the yard had 23 shipwrights on it, 23 men, 100 days, 6 pence a day, that is about 57 pounds, under a third of the bill. The rest is oak and iron and just over 1.25 tons of rope, and 336 ells of canvas and 68 oars. Whoever supplies the material takes most of the money. Labor is the cheap input in almost every medieval account we have looked at. The second place is ownership, and this one is the real answer. Medieval ships were owned in fractional shares. 1/4, an 1/8. A 16th bought by merchants who wanted a slice of a voyage without carrying a whole hull. Labor was never one of the shares. Read that carefully. You can own a 16th of a ship by paying for it. There is no mechanism by which you can own a 16th by making it. The men who finance the hull hold a claim on everything it does for the next 20 years. The men who shaped the hull hold a claim on nothing after the last Saturday of the build. And it is day work, which cuts both ways. Your tools are yours: the axe, the adze, the augers, the mallet. They wear, and you replace them. You feed and house yourself. There is no board here, no place at anybody's table, and you are paid for days you work. Not for days it storms. Not for the week the timber has not arrived. Not for the months between one commission and the next. Which brings us to the thing nobody expects. The hidden cost is not the wage. It is that the job has an end date written into it from the first day. On the 22nd of October, the ship goes into the water, and the dock is empty. Shipbuilding is project work. When the project stops, the wage stops with it. and the next one depends on somebody else deciding to build something, and royal projects stop for royal reasons. Henry V died in 1422. The fleet he had spent a fortune assembling was broken up and sold off to settle his debts. Our Balinger went on the 27th of June, 1424. It sold for £30, £180 to build, £30 8 years later. The crown lost 5/6 of its money. Now, you might think that protects you. You were paid in 1416. You lost nothing in 1424. It is the opposite of protection. You lost nothing because you never held anything to lose. You were never exposed to the downside because you were never admitted to the upside. That is not safety. That is exclusion, described politely. So do the arithmetic, and notice that it does not say what you expect. In, for the build, about 600 pence, £2.10, but run it across a full year. 240 days at 6 pence is 1,440 pence. £6 a year, 3 times what an unskilled laborer takes at 12 a day. A shipwright is not a poor man. He can buy a cow at 72 pence without much thought. He can rent a cottage for 60 pence a year and barely feel it. And that is exactly why this episode is not the one you were expecting. He is not being starved. He is being fenced out. 18 weeks of his hands produced a 120-ton asset worth 30 years of his own wages, and his claim on it expired the moment it floated. The scandal is not the wage. The scandal is that the wage is the whole of it. So who kept it? The crown owned the hull. But look again at the man holding the pen. William Soper, a Southampton merchant who became keeper of the king's ships and whose accounts covered receipts and expenses on nearly 40 royal vessels. He is the reason we can price this ship at all. We are reading his paperwork 600 years later. He never shaped a plank. He administered timber, iron, rope, and wages, sat at the junction where royal money entered the port, and rose into the merchant and political class of Southampton on the strength of it. The adze made the ship. The ledger made the fortune. He was not paid for the ship. He was paid for the days.